Okay, let's call the meeting to order. City Council meeting for May 21st, 2024. If you could please take the roll.
Councilman Delaney. Councilman Whiting. Here. Councilmember Contreras. Here. Councilmember Lara. Mayor Lehman.
Here. Let's see if we can get our Cub Scout to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, if you will. Pardon me?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for that. Item number 3, special presentation 3A, ICMA Veterans Recognition Award.
Mayor and Council, we have Matt Fulton. He's the Regional Director of ICMA with us to present the award.
Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Matt Fulton, Regional Director for ICMA. The city manager for 35 years in Minnesota. My last community being in West St. Paul, and my wife and I actually just were Prior Lake residents, and now we've lived down here for a couple of years. ICMA, for those of you that don't know it, is a 12,000-member organization. The principle of ICMA is supporting professional local government on a global scale. It's based with the foundation around ethics in local government. The Code of Ethics actually is celebrating its 100th year anniversary this year, and has been the foundation of our profession across the United States and internationally. For the last couple of years, ICMA has developed a recognition for members in the association that not only serve local government, but have served in the military. This year, there are 3 members that are being recognized in the United States, one of them being Mr. Bill Reynolds. And it's really my pleasure to be able to present Bill with this recognition. We had the pleasure also of recognizing Bill at the annual Spring Council Manager, the Spring City Managers Conference a few weeks ago. I've known Bill for a long time. I had no idea about his history because he's this quiet leader who just guides his communities along. I had no idea about his military career, how he served in the nation's capital when 9/11 happened. I had no idea how he served in Iraq, including working for the Iraqi government in coordinating a post-assessment infrastructure work. I had no idea about Bill's work on Capitol Hill, where he worked with the late Arnold Inspector and his crew. There was a lot that I didn't know about Bill. One of the things that impressed me the most, though, in my background work with Bill and the material that Chelsea provided is the way that he supports this organization and the work he's doing in local government. One of the things that was really cool to read about was Bill meeting with new employees, teaching them about the foundations of local government, which is you're not owed a job, you really have a community to serve, and you need to do it with ethics and good customer service. And I just really appreciate the approach that Bill has taken and takes in the work that he does. So it's really my pleasure to be able to stand here and invite Bill to come down and accept the proclamation. I don't know that I'll read this, Bill, but it's a really nice proclamation that really recognizes your work and your contributions. I just want to say congratulations because I've learned a lot about you, and it says a lot about the profession, and you're just a great example. So thank you.
I appreciate it. Can say a few words.
I suppose it would be too much to ask for a picture.
You gotta ask that guy.
Can you tell us what ICMA stands for?
I'm sorry, it's the International City County Management Association.
Thank you. Mr. Reynolds?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. True leadership moves an organization forward and ensures that at the end of the day, you leave the place much better off than it was when you found it. Excuse me. Sometimes the seas are rough and you aren't sure where you will find a harbor to lick your wounds and regroup. There are mistakes. There are unintended consequences of decisions, and there are always the critics. Regardless, a real leader keeps their goals in mind and consistently moves forward, sometimes only an inch at a time, but forward. It is remarkable that one person can have such an impact on an organization. And for that reason, I've decided to give myself the 2024 Administrators Leadership Award. Okay, that is not true. The point is, it's not about me.
It may be true.
It's never been about me. Michael Scott, can you please come up? Because of his drive and determination and the example he has set for all of us, I present the 2024 Administrators Award to Shakopee Fire Chief Mike Scott. I have had the privilege of working closely with Chief Scott and have witnessed firsthand his exceptional leadership, dedication, and contribution to fire service. He simply exemplifies leadership. Rarely has anyone captained a ship in such rough seas with such determination and grit and a steady hand on the rudder. Chief Scott came into an organization in some degree of crisis. He did not need to do so. Some might actually question his judgment on taking such a risk. Once on board, Chief Scott established a new way of doing business and improved our fire department in ways I frankly never thought possible in such a small amount of time. He has been here 11 months, but his legacy will remain for decades. This city and I owe him a great amount of thanks for his efforts. He has set the cornerstone for success in our future and has given our firefighters something that they can be proud of. Leadership, innovation, professionalism, integrity, public service. This is why Chief Mike Scott is the recipient of the 2024 Administrators Leadership Award. Congratulations, Chief Scott. Now, Chief Scott is leaving us on May 31st, and I've already approved this with the city attorney. I would like council to remove interim from his title from now until May 31st to give him the recognition that he deserves for what he has done for this community and for the fire service in Shakopee.
I'd so move that.
What was it you're asking for?
I'm asking that the term interim be removed from his designation and he be recognized as the fire chief of the city of Shakopee.
Till May 31st?
Till May 31st.
You know, fire has multiple definitions, apparently.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second? Any discussion on the motion? Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you all, and thank you, Chief Scott.
All right, congratulations, Chief.
Mr. Reynolds, we're going to step forward here with council for a picture for your...
Yes, absolutely.
Chairs in, folks.
Have a speech?
Speech. I wasn't going to say anything tonight. As a matter of fact, I was going to sit your glasses there, and I even thought about going home because, you know, there's tornado warnings over by Cannon Falls. Didn't expect this at all. I kind of got really nervous when I kept seeing the firefighters come in. Now, if it was 11 months ago, it would be coming in to threaten to throw their pagers on the table because they didn't want an outside chief. You know, life's all about experiences, and I'll cherish the experiences I had here at Shakopee. Met some excellent people, worked with some excellent people, and like I've told you over and over, you've got really good people in your department. You've got excellent people that I've got to work with at the city, and I appreciate the support of the mayor and council the last 11 months. So no regrets whatsoever coming here, and again, it's a great experience that I'll cherish. So thank you so much. This was very unexpected.
Thank you, Chief. We appreciate all your efforts here. I wanted to make a couple of comments about Mr. Reynolds, if I could. Mr. Reynolds, thanks for your leadership, not only with the city council and our departments, but thank you for your service to country. Deeply appreciated. A lot of times people don't realize what's all involved, and it's quite the sacrifice, not just for you yourself, but it's a broader sacrifice to everybody in your life, whether it's your combat friends, your family, your brothers, sisters, wife, kids, just extended friends network. It's just a pretty big burden that military folks place on themselves and others to make that commitment. So appreciate your service dearly, and thank you for your service with the city.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr.
I can echo that, and congratulations, well deserved.
Thank
Glad, another award for Shakopee. All right, and you.
We have been racking them up.
Yes. Great
Mr.
job.
Lara?
You know, every time I have a meeting with you, Bill, I sit in your office, and I don't know if you've ever been in Bill's office, but he has his memorabilia up on the wall, and every time I sit in there with a meeting with you, I always notice something different. It's always something very impressive I observe. So very impressive service that you've done, whether it's civil or military, and we thank you for all of that.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Anybody else? All right, moving on to item number 4, approval of the agenda. Is there any changes from staff or council to the agenda?
Mr. Mayor, staff has a few things that I wanted to point out. First of all, we'll pull item 5A3 off the agenda. That is on the newspapers. We're waiting to get some clarification on what the actual bill is that's going to be signed that may allow us not to have to do this step. So we'll probably bring that or something back next week, or excuse me, next meeting.
Okay.
And then also, we've updated resolutions that you have for 5A6, where the state is actually giving us more money than they had originally said. So we're more than happy to take that, and the new resolution is in front of you. That's all that staff has, sir.
Did we want to swap around 5D1 until after the public hearing related to the same matter?
Yeah, we can certainly do that, and we can then bring that back after the public hearing, and then if the public hearing goes as expected, then we can bring that forward for approval.
Okay. Let's do that. Any other changes from council?
None for me.
No? Wishes council on the agenda?
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as modified.
Second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Delaney. Motion by Mr. Lara. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion passes. Item number 5, consent agenda. Mr. Whiting,
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the modifications mentioned.
I'll be removing 5A6 from consent.
5A6. And I'll second.
So is that okay with your motion?
Yep.
Any other modifications to the agenda, consent? Motion by Mr. Whiting, seconded by Ms. Contreras. Discussion on the consent motion? Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Mr.
Aye.
Mayor?
Opposed? Mr. Reynolds will read the consent agenda, please.
Sir, these are the consent agenda items for May 21st of 2024. 5A1 are the city council minutes. 5A2 is the monthly financial review for April of 2024. 5A4 approves a special event and temporary liquor license for Rhythm on the Rails 2024 concert series. 5A5 is the Minnesota Department of Public Safety's Minnesota Safe Ride Program grant application. 5A7 approves 3.2 on-sale wine and Sunday liquor licenses for High Tang LLC doing business as Sapporo. 5A8 approves the 2024-2025 liquor license renewals. 5B1 approves a special waiver of assessment and appeal rights for Marist Street, 13th Avenue, and Hanson Avenue Utility Extension Project. 5C1 approves a temporary liquor license for Shakopee JCI. 5C2 accepts donations and sponsorship funds. 5D1 is a preliminary and final plat for Marist Street First Edition. 5D2, purchase of site equipment from Copman for Jackson Commons Park. 5D3 is a construction manager as agent for Kraus Anderson for Jackson Commons. 5D4 is approval of plans and advertisement for bids and award of tree removal contract for Jackson Commons Park. 5E1 is a declaration of surplus property, and 5E2 is a temporary CSO position approval.
Thank you, Mr. Reynolds. One correction, 5D1 was removed from consent and moved to
My
after
apologies,
the
yes, sir.
public hearing.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Reynolds. Let's see, that takes us to item number 6. Item number 6 is recognition of residents of the city that'd like to address the city council on a matter not on the agenda. So if there's somebody here that would like to address the city council on a matter that is not on our agenda, now would be the time to do that. Please step up to the table here in the chair. There's a microphone. Go ahead and pull that microphone toward you so we can hear.
We have 2 people. We have to wait 1 second.
Pull that microphone right up to you, will you? You're going to have to move that microphone toward you.
Yeah, you can pick it up, sir. It'll
And
slide.
name and address, please. I'm sorry, I can barely hear you. That's fine. What?
Decommissioned, they're not being used down by the river. And basically, I was talking with the DNR, and they would like to, what I'd like to do is put nesting grounds for them. A platform on top of the old poles. Basically, that's what I'm looking, I don't know who to talk to.
Okay.
Basically, just take all the old utilities off there. They're decommissioned. The poles are stamped rejected, so they're not in use.
Who do they belong to, sir?
They don't belong to anyone anymore. They're sitting on city property, and the city has decommissioned them.
We actually don't have utility poles. The Shakopee
utility
Public
does,
Utilities is the organization that has utility poles, so they wouldn't be our utility poles.
Well, basically what they are is they're old ones that were left there by the people that owned the property originally, and they're decommissioned, and they had their services come down the sides of them, and basically there's nothing attached to them, but they left the old mast laying there. So
And where is this specifically located?
it's down by the old houses that are with the brick houses down there by the old what the heck's that road?
Marina?
Down by the old fire brick company.
Okay.
So basically, they're sitting down there. They haven't been used in years. There's metal stamps on them saying decommissioned.
I've seen that Mr. Kursky wants to say something. Know that's located?
Do you have something to add, Mr. Kursky?
Mayor and Council, if you remember, we got an approved contract, and as part of the design, any poles that aren't being used will get pulled out. Any that are there with utilities are getting underground that is part of that project.
So first thing is to figure out who owns the poles, right?
Mayor and Council, that's correct. And then working with Shakopee Public Utilities, they're preparing to underground the 2 remaining properties, and any poles that aren't being used, they'll pull out.
So there's 2 issues that come to mind. You'd have to talk to the utility about the ownership of the poles. Shakopee Public Utility. Second is wherever you wanted to put these poles, you'd have to figure out who has ownership of the property and get
The
ownership.
city has the ownership.
You want to keep the poles in the same place?
Yeah, basically they're sitting down by the river, and basically there are old poles that were decommissioned quite a few years ago. They went out and put reject stamps on them, and basically we just cut off the top of them. I've already talked with the DNR, the head of the DNR, and they said they'd love it for nesting grounds.
Right, but if you want to put them in a city park by the marina, you would have to make an appointment, set a time, sit down with staff, see if it fits the vision that they have with the master plan for that park, and that would be the first step.
Just to point out that that whole area is going to be under redevelopment in a matter of short time. I don't know what that
Yeah,
is, within the next few years.
Yeah,
if
you probably
everything
don't
gets
want to
approved.
do that now. It might get disturbed.
Well, that's what I'm wondering.
Yeah. My
First
advice
step is find out.
My advice would be first talk to the utility and see if they're willing to donate them poles to you.
Well, they wouldn't be the utility poles. They would be the original owner of the property.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
That's parkland.
Mr. Lara.
Sir, so I hear what you're saying. You're saying that you wanted the poles that are there, that you're intending to leave them as is, correct?
Correct.
So one thing we want you to understand is there's a project that we're doing, that whole area is going to be redeveloped. And from what Mr. Kursky just said, anything that's not being used will be taken down, and anything that is being used will be moved underground. So to answer your question, those poles will be removed.
They're, like I said, they're not sitting up by the easement. They're down by the river.
Yeah, there's a whole reserve bank stabilization project. There's a park renovation going on. I mean, I'm going to presume that those will not be there.
Okay.
And I don't know that the DNR owns,
DNR owns
Poles.
part of that
yeah, I don't
property?
think they own the poles though.
No.
I think the
they
poles
don't.
were put in by the utility. So first step would be to talk to your utility, find out who owns the poles. See if they're willing to donate them to you. Then you need to find a place to utilize them.
Right.
And that's where you're going to have to talk with staff to see if they're interested in as this and part of that concept plan. If not, you're going to have to find a different location for your idea. If that's on DNR property next to the park, you'd have to work that with the DNR. If it's private property, you'd have to talk to the property owner.
Yeah,
So-
it's right adjoining with the DNR property. It's on city property.
Right.
I
So.
don't know what your projects were down there, so.
Yep. And, you know, our policy under this item on the agenda is not to solve the problem, but to listen to what you're saying and try to steer you. And I would say talk with the utility staff and our city staff. And they're going to be able to give you some better direction than we can.
Okay, sounds good.
All right? Thanks for coming down. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
so.
Thank you.
Anybody else that'd like to speak to the council on an item not on the agenda? That would be your cue. Why don't you come on up to the chair there and tell us what you're doing. Pull that microphone close.
Hello,
Hi.
So,
I'm Mackenzie Scora, and I'm from Troop 589 in Victoria, and I'm doing a merit badge for citizenship in the community, and one of the requirements is I have to attend a city council meeting, so I'm doing that today.
So why Shakopee instead of Victoria? You don't have to answer that. We know we're better than they are.
In Victoria because of my cousin, and my family is involved with it, so I have people in there that I already knew, so.
Very good. Are you planning any community activities to help out your community?
Yes, we have service projects every month.
Awesome.
So this Saturday, we're going to place flags at Fort Snelling.
Very good.
very nice.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate your efforts. Thanks for coming down, and thanks for leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. If you want to hang around for a minute, we'll get a picture with you, okay?
Okay.
And a pin.
he's
Oh,
got it.
perfect.
Why don't we do that now?
Okay, I'll smile and say Scouts of America. All right, guys, get back there. Come on, I gotta have one for our city. Come on now.
Gotta have one for the official record.
Right, for the official record. All right, good, thank you.
We gotta practice this.
Okay, is there anybody else in the audience that would like to address the city council on an item that is not on the agenda? Anybody? Seeing none, we will continue on. Item number 7, business removed from the consent. I removed 5A6. Great news from city staff, Mr. Reynolds, about the state giving us more money than what we asked for. True statement, however, I'm going to look at it from a different perspective. I look at it as the state funding issues on their roadway, which they should be funding. As council and staff are aware, I asked a while back about this when we saw the call load on 169 between the river and 41. 2,000 calls a year. It's a variety of calls, traffic calls, motorist assist, fire calls, crashes, the whole gamut, but the total number is over 2,000 per year. That's about 6 calls per day. So pretty substantial on that very short piece of roadway. And I asked staff to take a look at what we could do with that, because really we want a safe area, and what is driving that piece of roadway to have such a high call load. I'm not a traffic engineer by any stretch, but I do drive that roadway, and part of it, in my opinion, is signage. There's a lot of movements happening, and some people might not know what movements are coming up soon enough. Scott County and MnDOT were very good at listening to concern I had about it. No sign telling you the left exit off of 16169 to 101. It just jumped up on you, and if you missed it, you're going across the river and you're going to go find a way to turn around and come back. They put that sign up, helps quite a bit. We all know there's other issues on a certain stretch of that road in the wintertime where the snow and the ice and gets in there, and it just makes a hockey rink. So I'm very happy to see this come forward with some extra funding to look at what we can do to lower the call load and make it safer and more productive for the movement of products and services. Certainly got to thank engineer Alex over here. He took the bull by the horns and ran with what we were looking for and helped make some of this happen. I know there's going to be a lot of data collecting, so it's going to be interesting to see some of that data. Just thank all the staff for running with it and getting these dollars to try to fix a known problem that'll help our community in 3 different ways. So
We don't have them yet, so should we put a motion on the floor first?
we should. Would you like to make a motion, Mr. Whiting?
Sure, I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution R 2024 TAC 076, accepting the Minnesota Department of Transportation, MnDOT, and Department of Public Safety, and DPS Safe Roads Zones Grant Award, and authorizing the city administrator to execute the necessary contracts and agreements applicable to accepting this award, and note that the amount was raised from the original notation of was 118, was that what it was?
118, 92, and 26,
And
4
now
to
it is 142,
50 and 92.
50 and 92.
So basically the updated resolution that was on the table, correct, Mr. Whiting?
That's right.
All right, is there a second?
Second. Oh, anyone.
Who seconded it?
Second. There you go.
Counselor Contreras? All right. Any discussion on the motion?
Already done.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Takes us to item 8A, vacation of certain drainage and utility easements, public hearing. By the way, easements at 1465 Mars Street. Motion to open a public hearing would be in order. Mr.
Mayor,
Lara?
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Is there a second, Mr. Delaney?
Second.
Discussion on the motion? Discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Public hearing is open. Mr. Kershke.
Mayor and council, as the mayor said, this is the proposed vacation of certain drainage and utility easements at 1465 Marist Street. Here is the property. Just to give you some context, we approved a building in this area about a year ago, and this is a new retention basin that was constructed. This property right here has been acquired by Shakopee Public Utilities for a future substation. And the new city lift station is right here. One of the reasons we're going to be doing some new easements here is to ensure that we have access to bring sewer to this neighborhood sometime in the future. So we're going to keep a southern access. So the applicant was John Messenbrink. As we said, 1465 Marist Street. It's 22.86 acres. It's zone I-1 light industry, and it's guided for mixed-use employment center. Applicant proposes to vacate 2 specific existing easements and dedicate new easements in a proposed plat that you'll be hearing after this. One easement is on the north side of the eastern larger parcel for the existing stormwater basin. The second easement is along the north, south, and west lines of the western smaller parcel. The applicant is proposing construction of a 12,000 square foot building south of the existing building and to conduct drainage improvements on the site. So here is the vacation sketch. So it's this area right here that's cross-hatched. And here's the larger one. This is a drainage utility and ponding easement. Some of you remember there is and has been a soil kind of reclamation operation going on here for many years. There's currently a pretty large berm along the Savage area that will remain, but they're trying to get better use of this larger parcel. So recommendation is adopt resolution R 2024-73 approving the proposed vacations with the condition that new easements also be dedicated. The Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval of the request at their May 9th meeting.
Kershke, I've got a couple of questions. Any other members of council have a question of staff?
Go ahead.
All right now.
This map here?
Yep. I can't see that far.
There you go. So the first question I had, and probably a drainage question for engineering, but are any properties to the north or on any sides of this highlighted parcel relying on the drainage in the current configuration from their properties onto this property?
Mayor and council, there are properties further to the west and south that drain into this drainage area. Now we're vacating the easements. However, new easements will be established over the drainage areas in more reasonable locations that match the existing conditions, and the stormwater basins and wetland areas will remain in place. So this first step is vacating the easements. The next step that's on the agenda is the new plat, which will dedicate new easements in place.
Okay. And roughly on this map here, where would the new drainage easement be?
There is a drainage easement on the south side of the property that will run from the west south. There'll be a drainage swale, and then there'll be a new stormwater basin constructed right about where the mouse is in the southeast corner. That basin will then outlet to the northeast into the wetland area, and then that ultimately drains into the city of Savage.
Okay, the wetland area that you're highlighting to the north of the property, north and east of the property, is what was highlighted as being vacated, right?
That's correct.
So that wetland is going to stay there or not?
That will remain in place, and new easements will be dedicated over that wetland area.
Okay.
The existing easements are much larger than the existing wetland and stormwater areas.
Okay.
So the applicant will be developing or dedicating new easements that actually match the existing conditions.
Okay, I was looking at getting rid of that section, and then where's the stuff that's relying on that gonna go? Very good. All right, any other questions of staff? This is a public hearing. If there's anybody who'd like to speak on this matter, now would be the time to do that. Anybody in the audience that would like to speak on this public hearing matter? Vacation of easements, drainage easement, utility easements? Last call, if there's anybody who would like to speak on this matter, please step forward. Mr. Whiting,
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Whiting, second by Ms. Contreras. Any discussion on the motion? Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is closed. What's the wishes of council? Ms. Contreras.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution R 2024-73, a resolution approving the vacation of a specific drainage and utility easement at 1465 Merritt Street.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Mr. Delaney?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right, thank you, folks.
Now, do we go back to the
I am going to bring back 5D1 that we removed from consent till after the public hearing. Mr. Whiting?
I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution R 2024-072, which approves the final plat of Morass Street, first edition.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there a discussion on the motion? Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Very good. That takes us to 9A1. SandVenture Aquatic Center proposed fee increases.
Mr. Mayor, as you will recall, and members of council, we've had multiple discussions about what would be appropriate for having our fees set as once we have a newly designed SandVenture. At that time, I had noted that we would come back and have a discussion about what those fees would be. They certainly would be increased. Council on multiple occasions has talked about their concern about non-residents not paying what they should pay to be a part of the experience as well. So what we have now is just nothing for action tonight, but we wanted to kind of outline for you our thoughts on where we are with this particular fee increases, and then leave it up for your discussion, and then give us some guidance on what we should do.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Mr. Reynolds. And, part of that discussion was this is going to be a new top-notch facility with a lot of different amenities in it, so.
Yes, sir.
All right, good evening, Mayor and Council. Can you guys all see me okay, or do you need me to step to the side? We good?
I'm good. How about the rest of you?
We're good.
As Mr. Reynolds talked tonight, we're just looking to get your guys' feedback and discussion on our proposed price increase for the SandVenture Aquatic Center. So, some of the objectives as staff was going through this, considering the renovation and what our new prices should be, we first want to raise the cost of admission to align not only with the improvements of the facility, but as well as other municipal aquatic centers in the metro area. We wanted to simplify the season pass structure to provide a better customer experience. Now, to give you a little background, we said we eliminated the under 48-inch pass options, and looking at an individual is just an individual. To give you a little background, the reason why it's 48 inches is most aquatic amenities, that is the threshold of whether or not individuals can go down a big slide or use such amenity. So in the past, it was priced off that height differential. We also wanted to eliminate the 20 punch card visit and keep the 10 punch card, which will save 50% per visit. You can purchase multiple of these and stack them on top of each other, so there's no need to have both. We wanted to propose to eliminate the community center member discount membership. There is a much easier way to provide this service and accomplish the same goal, we would offer a promotion of some sort for community center members at the beginning of the season, and this would eliminate 4 different packages that staff would have to monitor and administer. And then we also wanted to make it easy for residents of the community and people visiting SandVenture to be able to understand the pass structure and make the best decision for their family. So we said an individual season pass will equate to 10 daily admissions. At that point in time, you will save money by purchasing the season pass. We looked at the family membership and priced it as it would equate to a family of 3 coming to the pool for 10 times for the season, and then it obviously goes down in price for larger families. And then I wanted to show Mayor and Council what an option would be to add a non-resident price differential to our daily admissions, which we currently do not have. When we go through this, another way to word this, and it's really just a trick of the brain, is we could say, instead of calling it a non-resident rate, it could be called a regular rate. So we're not necessarily punishing non-residents for not being a resident of Shakopee, but we are providing a discounted rate for residents of our community. All things to keep in mind as we're going through this. So when we look at daily admission prices, this is what we as staff have put together for a proposed increase. And you can see highlighted in yellow, there is no current rate, but this is where we would propose that non-resident or that regular rate to be. As you can see, prices have increased. You know, if you're looking at that percentage, it's increased quite a bit, but this is bringing us to really align closer to like facilities. We have more amenities at SandVenture once the renovation is complete, and I've only been here a little over 2 months, but from my knowledge, the prices at SandVenture have not been raised since at least 2010. So a lot has happened in the last 14 years. All right, so when you're looking at how we would compare to other like facilities, we looked at other municipal aquatic centers throughout the metro area and what their pricing structure was and what their amenities was. And this is an illustration of where we would fit, both at our current rate. As you can see, we are the cheapest by far. Our proposed resident rate would put us right in that median price point when compared to these other facilities. And then that non-resident or regular rate would be at the premium, which we would be charging non-residents of Shakopee to come utilize our facility. So looking at our season pass rates, again, you're seeing a significant increase since prices have not been raised for quite some time. This will also put us in line with other like aquatic facilities in the metro area. And it provides a little bit more context so people can make that educated decision on whether or not a season pass is for them. We, for our residents, are proposing that we have a senior military rate for our residents, which we currently have. For our non-residents, again, a significant increase. They would be paying that premium to come to this facility. At least that's what we are proposing and looking for your feedback on. And this is where we would compare. So everything that you see in that teal blue color, that would be the non-resident rates where we sit currently and where we are as staff proposing, and then yellow would be that current rate. As you can see, when we get into the season passes for these facilities, the fee structure varies quite a bit. So you can see a lot of the like aquatic facilities don't offer that family or senior membership. We're one of the few.
There's one discrepancy here. It would be SandVenture proposed non-resident 160. Our packet says 150.
Oh, I apologize about that. So the correct should be 160 because we'd be looking at 10 times of that daily admission rate, so it would be 160.
Okay.
My apologies.
All right.
Then looking at the revenue model, so what we did is we took the 2023 attendance to SandVenture and applied the new pricing structure to get this revenue model. And one thing to keep in mind, in the past, we have not charged or differentiated between a resident and a non-resident in a daily admission. So if the council decides to go that way, this revenue model for the daily admission part will likely be more than what we're showing here, but there's no way for us to go back in time and try to guesstimate how many non-residents versus residents bought a daily admission pass. And with that, is there any questions?
We'll start on the end. Mr. Delaney?
Sure. My question is just for senior military that are non-resident, do they receive a discount also?
For non-residents, we didn't put that in there looking to provide that discount only to our residents, but that is certainly something, if this council decides, that we can add.
Mr. Delaney, you were asking specifically about non-resident senior military.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Whiting?
I would concur. That was on my list. You know, we have a lot of non-residents, let's say Prior Lake, we like to pick on them. But they have friends here in Shakopee, and maybe we can enhance our senior group a little bit there. That's my thoughts. The other thing is, could you please explain a little bit more about Twilight?
Yes, let me go back.
And you're filling on the military discount for
I would call it senior military, sure. Yeah.
So Twilight, what this is giving, we calculated it out here to be about a 25% discount to anyone coming to the pool in the last 2 hours of the evening. So they're not having to pay the full rate. They're getting a slight deal by just coming those last two.
It's not the first two, it's the last two. Okay.
Last two, yes.
And it depends on when we close.
Yes.
I'll peg to that.
Yes.
Then on your last slide, your total rentals, and you kind of projected that a little bit, revenues versus proposed. And with that new rental room, I think, I'm just going to speculate, you could probably push that up a little bit.
Okay.
Just
Yeah,
a
that
thought.
new rental room, since it's not done, that was not a price, that's something that we plan to bring back at a later time. But yes, I would hope so as
being
well.
cautious on your estimates. I like it.
Yeah. That's all I have.
This side?
Thank you, Mayor. I guess just to, I mean, I'm a resident, obviously. I've never asked, is there, can I pay because I live somewhere else? So we've never charged a different price to outsiders of Shakopee. Okay, I'm just,
That is
I don't want
correct,
to
yes.
lose them, right? So I'm just trying to navigate through this, and I mean, they're coming from outside. I get it. They're going to be using our facility. I'm just thinking. I'm seriously
When you
thinking on
look
this.
at the other like facilities, I would say that most of them do not have that, but when you look at our community center, and I know from
Right.
direct experience in Chaska's community center also has a resident and non-resident rate. If that is something that the mayor and council would like to move forward with, we could always tweak it and call it the regular rate, and then residents get a discount. That does sit better in people's
Right.
brains most times, but yes.
Okay.
I like your terminology. It's marketing.
I support the non-resident rate being higher, and whatever you want to call it is fine. But
Right.
the reason I support that is because the operational cost of this facility is
Right. Oh, of course.
100% borne by the taxpayers of Shakopee,
As well as the construction cost.
and the construction cost. So when people from the outside come and use it and they're paying the same price as the resident, they're actually getting a deal, because the resident, when they go home and pay their property taxes, are also paying for this structure. So it's not fair that the resident should actually pay more than an outsider, which would be the case if we didn't have a non-resident rate.
No, you're good, and I'm not against it in any way. I'm just, trying to process it in my head.
Don't want to price them
Yeah.
out of the market either, but I want it to be recognized that the Shakopee taxpayers are paying for
Correct.
part of this above the fees to utilize it in their property tax bills.
I did think of another question.
Mr. Lara?
Yeah, kind of go off of what Councilor Contreras just said about the non-resident, resident rate differential. Looking at the comparables, people that would be using this facility outside of Shakopee, Chaska, Jordan, Belle Plaine, Prior Lake, et cetera, they're not on this list, therefore I don't feel that they must not have a pool. So, and we're exactly right, we're going to follow suit with what we do at the community center, giving them a different rate. One question I do have, and I'd like to, I think council would like to see some statistics on, is when you remove the discount for season passes from the community center, I'd like to see, and maybe the council would like as well, who's actually utilizing it, because I know it's an add-on. I being a member, I know you can add that on. I'd be curious to see who's actually taking advantage of it, and is it worth getting rid of, or do you have any statistics that why you want to get rid of it?
Mayor, Council, are you looking for a number of memberships that we sell typically in that community center package? Is that correct?
That backs up why you want to get rid of it.
Yes, I have that. So it looks like in 2013, we sold 36.
2023.
23, yes.
Yeah.
2023, we sold 36.
36 add-ons.
Yes, that is correct.
And do you know how, and I don't expect you to know this because you're new, but do you know what the add-on was and what it got you?
That I do not know, but I can certainly find out and let you know.
If you could email that out through Mr. Reynolds, that'd be
I'm just
good.
curious to.
Back to this side, Mr. Whiting.
The one other thought that popped up in my head was if we could, once we get that room and we start utilizing it, maybe we want to do a party rate or something for trying, because there'll be a lot of non-resident kids, and I want to make sure you're having a birthday party at the pool, it's not some sort of, you got to pay more or whatever.
Yeah,
do something like that.
the room rental would be a rental for the room regardless of who's using the room.
Okay.
But with the pool, you're going to use the pool if you rented it for a birthday party, you got a bunch of kids. So I was thinking we could maybe look at that residential rate.
I think what he's asking is, instead of just renting the room for a party, are we renting the room with the pool as a package? Are we going to offer them two options?
Yeah, that's a good question. We really haven't, at least I haven't discussed it.
We haven't discussed it. I can tell you that at the community center, when you have a birthday party package, we look at the residency of the birthday child and where their family lives, and then that package is priced off of that residency. They get use of the room and the pool or the gymnasium, whichever package they're selecting. That's how we do it at the community center, but we haven't had any discussion regarding that
I'd like
for
to reflect
SandVenture.
that on the SandVenture as well.
I think that discussion will be coming back.
Sounds good.
So, food for thought.
Good deal.
Okay. Anything else? Maybe it would be beneficial if you just walk through some of the new amenities
Yeah, I was looking for the new picture.
for the general population and council reminder.
Yes, absolutely. I'll have Katie come up and join me. She's our aquatic supervisor. I've only been here for a few months, and she can speak to the additional amenities far better than I can.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. So just to refresh your memory with some of the amenities that we are bringing into SandVenture, we've done a lot of improvements of our gutter system, of the building itself. We have created a true sand-to-water beach entry along the north side that'll include splash pad features in the water geared more towards your younger kids, younger swimmers. The filtration that was in that gutter that was removed is now in a boardwalk that will have shade structures on it that parents can sit on while they watch their kids play. We are bringing in a playground that'll be on the beach that'll have a slide and some climbable features. We got rid of the diving board, and in replacing that, we have a ship that has 2 different jumping platforms of different heights. In the center of the pool, we have added a lot more of the surface skimming and like water turnover to help with the turbidity of the water. And on our center surge tank, we have 4 basketball hoops that are on each of the sides of it. And then as well as on the west side of the pool, we'll have an in-water volleyball and net that goes in there. So we've also added a sidewalk that goes to our beach shelter on the west side and then all the way around the east side, just to make the space a little bit more accessible for people with strollers, with wagons, mobility. So there is a sidewalk that can now bring you around the whole area of the pool, so you have more access to the facility as a whole. We'll have an updated admissions area with lockers, new changing rooms, and then as well as the rentable room, and then the restaurant that is coming in. So it is getting a wonderful facelift.
Was there shade structures on the sandy area for people to hang out under?
Not new ones. There are the existing shade structures that are staying. The new shade structures are on the boardwalk.
Okay. And the showers?
Yes, the new shower changing room areas, and then there will be showers that'll be mounted on the outside of the building so that like bathers could like shower off outside without having to like go take a full shower before they go home.
Okay.
How deep is our sand bottom pool? How deep is it?
So it's a 0 depth entry, so it starts at 0 depth, and then in the sand area, the deepest is between 5 and 6 feet, kind of depends how the sand shifts, and then we have a concrete area in the deep end where we've got the jumping, diving, plunge amenities that require deeper water that has a 8-foot section, and then it goes down to a 12-foot section to meet Minnesota Department of Health codes.
Thank you.
Okay. What's the direction? You need from us?
I would say yes, as long as you all are comfortable with what we proposed tonight and you didn't see any red flags or any major changes that you would like us to make.
The only other question that I had might be for finance. When we looked at the plan to do this to SandVenture, to rebuild it, we looked at a dollar amount that was needed to keep our plan whole. Does this meet that requirement?
I'd have to go back and revisit it to be completely for sure how much we had put in there, but it certainly seems like this would be sufficient to cover that. And the one thing we didn't plug into some of these estimates that you see here is any change in attendance. So we just basically took our 2023 numbers and extrapolated them based on the new rates. So if you've got changes in attendance, so if you've got increased demand for this, that's also going to build in additional revenue. So short answer is yes, this should be more than sufficient from what we've projected, but again, you can't really forecast the weather and other things that might have an impact.
Sure. Yeah. All right. Anything else from council? Mr. Lara?
Unrelated, sort of. And if you don't know, that is okay. I won't hold you to it. Any ETA on completion?
We don't have an ETA as of yet. The weather isn't helping us, the rain. But I was out there, 2 weeks ago, and it's looking really good, and they're making progress every time. We're hoping to open at some point this summer, but we don't have an exact ETA yet.
This summer, wow.
But I can guarantee you, under layman law, it'll be ready in the middle of winter. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
All right, item 9B1, comprehensive plan amendment, preliminary and final plat of the CDA Shakopee Addition Planned Unit Development PUD District 13, Scott County CDA Office and Senior Housing. And who is Mr. Kursky? I thought I saw the CDA in the audience.
She's there, Julie.
Hey, Mayor and Council, they have their own short presentation after the
Very,
cities.
very good.
So again, Mayor, this is actually 3 items. So the first is the comprehensive plan amendment, and then the second would be the final plat. of the CDA Shakopee addition, and the third will be a planned unit development district number 13 for the Scott County CDA's Office in Senior Housing. This is the current comprehensive plan. When it was guided, it was a school. So one of the changes is the use has changed, so we need to re-guide it. So it would be re-guided to the downtown transition zone, which is similar to what's right across the street. Again, these are the required findings. The biggest change is the building's been demolished and it's no longer a school, so that would require a different provision in the plan. Again, here's the location. The applicant is Urban Works Architecture and Ivy Properties. The property owner is now the Scott County CDA. It's just over 2 acres. Again, it's between Holmes, Lewis Street, 5th and 6th Avenue. It's the former Central Family School site. Currently zoned R1C, and proposed zoning is PUD for planned unit development. So this is the preliminary and final plat. So there's originally 10 lots and a vacated alley that you all vacated some time ago. So this is the original old, get this to work. CDA Shakopee addition, if you remember, this is the alley that we have since abandoned. So basically they're removing all of the old lots and that alley, combining it into one lot and dedicating drainage and utility easements around the perimeter, as well as the area for the proposed below-grade infiltration tank. And they'll also be paying park dedication on this site. So the planned unit development, number 13, the changes are basically, it's a little over the required R1C height, which is allowed in the PUD. They have 1 less on-site parking space. The windows are different because of some of the concerns of having commercial up against residential. So CDA is an office building, residential building has to have a fire separation, so they actually have a firewall on one side. The front setbacks are also different. This will be a little closer to the street. This is the same team that did the Henderson, so it'll be a similar, actually, I think this design, you'll see in a second, is pretty good. So the planned unit development, it's 1 building, a 3-story, 60-unit senior affordable housing project, and a 1-story, 17,000 square foot office space for the CDA. It meets the 15% open space requirements with the courtyard and 2 patios. It complies with the density requirements once it's been re-guided. And the exterior materials are brick, fiber cement, lap, and shingle siding, and wood look steel siding. And they did provide a materials board that's right in front of you. So this is the north elevation of the CDA office building. So lots of windows along the street. Here's the northwest elevation of the CDA office. They have, this is some more community space on the corner. You can see the rendering on the right, on the lower right. And then this is the elevation on the east side of the senior housing and the CDA office. So they have a garage space here where their dumpsters will go in and out. And so this is the wall that doesn't have as many windows because it's right up against this office building. But here's a rendering of what that corner will look like. West elevation of the senior housing and the CDA. So you remember there's a big courtyard here, so this is in the background. And so this is the residential building, and this is the CDA's offices. And again, in the lower right, there's 2 renderings for you. And then here's the south elevation of the senior housing. Staff is really excited. This really says entrance. One of the things we've heard about the Henderson, it's hard for people to know where the entrance is. This makes a pretty big statement. So this is kind of the front door into the project. And again, there's a rendering in the right-hand corner. And here's the courtyard. So again, this is an interior courtyard. This is the side that would be facing the parking. And then again, these 2 elevations face that courtyard. Just to give you an idea of the building plan, so lower level, there is underground parking for the residents. And then on the first level, there's additional parking here, largely for the use of the CDA during their business hours. And then on nights and weekends, it can be used by visitors for the apartment building. And landscaping required 75 trees. They have 77. And you can see this is a large underground stormwater system that will have an easement over it. So this being almost a 100% pervious site, they're capturing the stormwater from the hard surfaces in the roof in this tank.
Mr. Kursky,
Yes, sir.
where's the underground parking in that picture?
So if I get this to work, Mayor, the ramp is right here and it goes under the building
Okay.
here. And there is no connection at this level. So they're basically two separate buildings, but they're connected on this end. And then just to give you some features, so there's a nice plaza over here. There's a really nice area out here for the residents of the apartment building, and then some pretty significant landscaping along this side on Fifth Avenue. So the PUD requirement, they meet all of our standards. And again, you can see the material board. This is pretty substantial materials they're using. So they meet our requirements. So Planning Commission recommended unanimous approval on May 9th. There are 3 resolutions here. The comprehensive plan does require a supermajority. The other 2 require just a standard majority.
Questions of staff? Mr. Delaney?
Only question, was there a community meeting with residents impacted by the?
Mayor and Council, yes, there were. I think there were 18 or 19 people in attendance. There was only one resident at the Planning Commission, and they voiced their support for the project.
Mr. Kursky, I've got a couple of minor concerns here. The site triangles at the corners, 6th and Holmes, I think the setback was 17 feet. And then we look at all these trees and stuff, and I just want to make sure that our site triangles at these intersections are not blocked in any way, so that when you're pulling up to a stop, you can actually site triangle.
Mayor and Council, as we get towards actual construction drawings, we'll work with the engineering staff to make sure that's maintained. One of the things that did come up at the Planning Commission meeting is once this is constructed and in use, they asked for the Engineering Traffic Safety Committee to look at the current stop signs and suggested potentially removing one because it was designed for school traffic, and then looking at Fifth Avenue, depending on the traffic that's generated by the office building, look at traffic control in that area.
Yeah, if it's a matter of removing a tree or 2 on the corners or something like that, I would fall on the side of traffic safety. Mr. Whiting?
I believe Holmes and Lewis are still the wider streets that we haven't shrunk down yet, so that might help.
Yeah, it might help a little, yeah.
So Mayor and Council, the other thing the developer is doing, they're building, as you can see, additional diagonal parking, which will help on speed and traffic control, which will also be available to visitors to the CDA office, but also if you look on 6th Avenue, there is new diagonal parking there for the residents and visitors. Very similar to the Henderson.
Okay. Does the CDA want?
They do the CDA presentation?
Yes, please.
Okay. Yeah, you can sit there. I can change it for you.
47 slides? No.
Only the best for the city of Shakopee.
That's right. Thank you, Julie.
Well, good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Julie Siegert, and I'm with the Scott County Community Development Agency. I just wanted to take an opportunity to extend appreciation to the city on behalf of the CDA board, including Commissioner Gotti is here. He represents Shakopee, as well as just appreciation to Mr. Reynolds, Mr. Kursky, and city staff as the CDA has been working to redevelop the former school site. Superintendent Redmond and the Shakopee School Board have been great partners as we have worked together over the past year to acquire the site and to create a positive outcome for both the school district and the community and the CDA. This is an important time in the history of the CDA, as 2025 will mark the beginning of the agency's 50th year of service to our communities. Not only can we continue with our mission to invest in possibilities to live and work in Scott County, We're also excited to be able to bring forward this 10th development, 55-plus units here for our senior population, including the 4th here in Shakopee. And as Mr. Kursky alluded to, this is the same development team that worked on the Henderson, and I think that's a lot of the success of our development. Our development team includes staff from Kennedy and Graven, from Baker Tilly, Great Lakes Management, and then in the room tonight is Urban Works, our architects, and then Steve Dunbar, who I'll turn the rest of the presentation over to. He is our project coordinator. So thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Thank you for having us this evening. I just want to echo Julie's comments as well, and I appreciate the opportunity to be in front of you this evening and continue the support of city staff and Mr. Kursky and his planning department. It's been a very good process. The staff's been very helpful, very professional, and we truly appreciate that through these steps. So I just want to touch highly, if that's all right, as we kind of walk through the site here. I think everyone's hopefully familiar with the former Central School site, and just showing kind of the evolution of it really at about a 10,000 foot level, kind of showing the enhancements of the office on the north and the housing that would wrap on the east and southern portion of the site here. And as we step around, we want to just provide some visual impact of the old Central School that was a great asset to this community for so long, and we want to be respectful and honor this site in the appropriate way to make sure
You want to pull
it
that
looks
mic,
nice.
pull that mic a
Oh, I'm
little
so sorry.
closer. Thank you.
Is that better, sir? Sorry about that. So we just wanted to provide these angles. So this is 5th and Holmes. This is the main entrance into the hopefully new home for the CDA. As comparison to the old site. As we step around, this is 5th and Lewis, kind of looking back onto the site there. You kind of see an outdoor area for the CDA staff and where it kind of meets onto the housing component as well. Stepping down Lewis to 6th is kind of the entrance to the housing component. And I think one of the things we really tried to do is create separate entrances and create separate identities while working with this one block and trying to create those separate entrances for the housing and office component here. So hopefully we're doing that in a nice and respectful way to the community.
Can I
and
ask a
neighborhood.
question here? The drawing on the bottom does not look like the Henderson. Is this a rendering of size and scope of the building, not necessarily the amenity, the siding, colors, and textures and stuff? Or is it?
Is this the final rendering, are you asking?
Right.
Correct. Yeah, that is our hope.
And that's these products?
Yes, sir. So block, fiber cement, I think on par, there's different lap siding, shingle siding with that fiber cement that creates some different textures and looks, and that's what I believe we're trying to achieve there.
It's not matching.
And stepping around on 6th and Holmes here, looking back to where the old surface lot was, but kind of the end cap of the housing component, and then mid-block on Holmes, trying to show that internal courtyard and our efforts to try to, again, in an effort to try to be respectful to the neighbors, try to keep that internal circulation kind of within our boundaries as to the best of our abilities, and have that surface lot support the office and then overall support the site at the end of the day.
Who's gonna do the snow removal on the parking areas?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is
Fair
that a
question.
city responsibility?
So within the site, on the surface lot and ramps and everything
Well,
like that.
the reason
will
I
be the
ask
third
is if you
party.
go back to your picture where you show them hammerhead corners.
Yeah.
Right there, I'm not a fan of them because plowing is really difficult.
Yeah.
Where if it's a square corner, it's a lot easier from a plowing standpoint. Don't know what the solution is, but
I do think we will work on that maintenance agreement. I know we have to work through stormwater maintenance. I know we have to work through some of those other components, and we look forward to having those conversations with the community. I didn't hear in regards to those site triangles. I do know on our plat, Similar to the Henderson development that we did, there was a 10-foot setback on the site triangles there on each corner. So I do believe that is reflected on our plat.
Yeah, and I think
so
that,
do wanna
I
call
think that
attention to
site
that.
triangle requirement changed since the Henderson.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that people can see
Yep,
around the
100%,
corners,
as
you
do
know.
we.
I had the opportunity to visit the Henderson. I don't know if anybody else did. CDA was gracious enough, and nice place, I gotta say. Which begs the question of management on this facility compared to the Henderson, because in my observation, I thought the management at the Henderson was pretty darn good. So please reassure me that the management of this facility is gonna be equal or better.
Mr. Mayor.
If you can get better.
We'll ask
I know,
for
the
them to do
office.
their best job, but it would be the same group. The CDA's worked with Great Lakes Management on their 9 independent senior facilities. Hopefully this being the 4th in the city of Shakopee, and the Great Lakes Management team would take this project forward as well.
We got some wild seniors in Shakopee.
You know, I haven't heard of any wild parties that they didn't invite me to, but if they did, I wouldn't tell you anyway, and I'm that wild senior
That's
that
right.
you're talking about.
They're not letting you in. I do have a question. Julie, how many are in your staff now? It looked like a pretty good-sized office.
29 currently.
29? Oh, okay.
I think if you
Mayor and council members, Mr. Kursky, if you go to the next slide, we are at 29 staff.
And you guys got a constant people, it's a public service, you got people coming in and out, so you're out there with the public, you need those spaces too, so.
Correct. So in terms of our operation, you know, since COVID, a lot of the participants are actually utilizing technology. So in terms of renewals for people that we are serving on our programs, there is less traffic at our office compared to pre-COVID, where everyone was required to come into the office to recertify. So we have seen fewer people coming in. That said, we also have a community room space where we hope to be able to have our first-time homebuyer workshops, where we have been utilizing city space actually to host those workshops. So to be able to bring those in-house will be a great thing. And we do that 5 times a year on a Saturday or an evening.
Open to the public, or is that
Yes.
scouts maybe use that facility or something like that?
We will certainly see what we can do with that.
Okay, thanks.
Questions? So pretty much the same as the Henderson.
Correct, in terms of the senior housing, yep, absolutely.
And 55 above, income-based, I believe.
Yep.
I know the need for senior housing is growing. How much impact does this make as far as within Scott County?
Sure, so I think the housing demand slide there, the demand is very strong. So 1,600 units is what the demand was showing for the Shakopee area where this was drawing from. So this is 60 units within there. Just within our own waiting list, you can see there are, I think, close to 100 people that are on those three properties. So hopefully we'll be able to serve additional people on our waiting list as well.
Thank you.
Are the residents utilizing this only from Scott County?
So Mayor and council members, let me see, I brought that.
The reason I ask is because the CDA has that tax line on people's property taxes within Scott County, and certainly don't want my pet tax dollars to pay for people outside of the county if it's a county tax.
Sure. So Mayor and council members, under fair housing laws, we are not able to restrict the property just to Shakopee or Scott County residents. That being said, if you look across our portfolio, 50% of the residents of your 3 existing properties here in Shakopee are coming from Scott County, and actually 40% of them are moving in from Shakopee itself.
Okay. Mr. Whiting?
Well, let's start with Number one, I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution R 2024-064, approving a comprehensive plan amendment to re-guide property located between 5th Avenue East and 6th Avenue East and Holmes Street and Lewis Street South for the from institution to downtown transition in Figure 4.12, planned land use in 2040 comprehensive plan. That's my
Is there a
motion.
second to the motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion. One of the questions I had for Mr. Kursky that just jumped in my mind was, we're going from institution to downtown transition where this is actually still kind of a quasi-institutional use, is it not?
Mayor and council, no, not based on the comprehensive plan definitions that were adopted, so that's why we're doing this.
So, like the courthouse is an institution.
Correct.
School's institution, city hall's an institution. This is a CDA-owned property.
So we look at the use, not the ownership, so this is apartments largely, so that's why we need to do this zone.
Okay. All right. Mr. Thompson, you looked at me. Did I? No? I didn't mess up your computer walking by with my fingers? Any other questions of the motion?
No questions.
Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Mr. Whiting?
I can do number two.
Ms. Contreras?
I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution R 2024-065, approving the preliminary and final plat of the CDA Shakopee addition.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion on the motion?
Yeah, real quick. Yeah, is this, we raised traffic safety concerns on the corners and whatnot, modification. Would that us move forward with what's already proposed, or is there changes still to be able to be made, or just quick clarification?
Yeah, we really haven't gone through that process yet. Certainly that will occur with all of the individual departments of the city that have responsibilities yet to be made part of the overall plan.
I think, so preliminary final plat, that's just, we're cohesively making it one big CDA lot, correct?
Where the building size, height, setbacks, things like that, but
Some details might change, but.
yeah, they're going to have to fine-tune landscaping,
Yep.
site triangles, so their actual sizes.
So Mayor and
are
council, you're
aligned.
just approving this site, as you said, it's just the easements and creating the one parcel. The building design materials or whatever is approved in the next motion.
No further questions.
Any other discussion on this side? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 3, Mr. Delaney.
I'll make a motion to adoption of ordinance 02024-006, approving Planned Unit Development District Number 13, Scott County CDA Office and Senior Housing for property located between 5th and 6th Avenue East and Holmes Street South and Lewis Street South.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion and second. We good, Secretary? Good. Discussion on the motion? Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
All right, welcome to historic Lower Town, again.
Thank you.
Appreciated the tour of the Henderson, by the way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was great.
That takes us to item 10A, city bill list.
For me? No questions.
Okay. Questions on this side for city bill list? 10B, liaison report.
Ooh, what side did we do?
I think we're on this side now.
Okay.
Okay, let's start 169 Coalition. Surveys were sent out. I would like to thank our engineer, Alex Jordan, for getting that return in. Also our city administrator and staff for putting that together. We'll send our response in tomorrow. We may send out reminders this week also to other cities up and down the coalition and stakeholders. So if you get an email again, I'm sending ours in after this meeting tomorrow. We also had our full meeting at by the yard this past week. Past 8 May. That was attended by Representative Tabke. He gave us an update. We also had updates from MnDOT and also from our Scott County gave some updates. Let's see, we couldn't get our representative in Bakeburg, and Senator Pratt, they couldn't attend, they had another meeting to go to, but it was overall a very good meeting. SPU, we had there was an email that came through about EV chargers, and I think that will be added as part of our joint discussion coming up. One thing to keep in mind, which will probably go in discussion, is they're $90,000 to install, and there's not a whole lot of EV users, so we'll have that discussion a little bit more, but you pushing the cost back on residents versus, but we'll get to that for our joint meeting, just putting that out there, kind of a preliminary. Also attended the Southern Valley Alliance ribbon cutting. I think the mayor was there, and also Angelica was there. And I think that was it. Oh, one more thing. Scale, they had I thought this was the coolest thing. Cybersecurity presentation, that's the nerd in me coming out, by the way. I thought it was really cool. They had some great examples, really good presentation. That was on the 10th of May. It's really cool stuff, but also kind of scary at the same time. So.
Yeah, very scary. Thank you, Mr. Delaney. Mr. Whiting?
Thank you. We had the MBTA Partnership Committee meeting, which talking about our goals for that committee and working on our en route campaign, along with working on an outreach plan to reach out to some of the other, getting out to our community in different ways. So either we're out there talking about MBTA and the routes, or we're providing other services for events type thing, like bus services and things. So different kind of components for outreach, but working with that. And I also attended, it was a while ago, the last scale training that we had for through the county out at the
Emergency management?
The emergency management training. Yep, that's all I have.
Very good, thank you, sir. Ms. Contreras?
No actual liaison report, but I did attend the Southern Valley Alliance new facility. Beautiful $2 million facility. And you did say something that we wish we didn't have to need that facility, but unfortunately we do live in a society where things are not pretty. So we're very grateful. I mean, it was in a good way, right? We're very grateful that they decided to partner with us and be here in Shakopee. So for us, it's just great, you know, to have them here and fast and easy access, you know, when we need them right away, instead of having to send them somewhere else. So blessed to have that building here.
And historic of Lower Town, yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Contreras.
You're very
Mr.
welcome.
Lara?
Let's see. First, I want to give a shout out to the Cub Scouts Pack 916. They planted flowers in downtown Shakopee in the planters over the weekend, so thank you for that. They look great. Saturday, attended Ales in the Alley to support the local businesses downtown. This is their second year in that very popular event, and everyone looked like to be having a good time. And on Saturday as well, the morning, I attended with the JCs. I did a trash pickup in Huber Park with them, so that was a good morning.
Very good, sir, thank you. My report, May 8th, did the emergency management training at the Scott County RTF. May 13th, met with the new Shakopee Fire Chief and Mr. Reynolds. May 16th, Southern Valley Alliance ribbon cutting. My comment actually was, let's see if I can get it verbatim. It's a service society shouldn't need, right. But unfortunately, since it's there, it's nice to have them stepping up to fill the need.
Yes.
And I meant that statement. At any rate, other business. Mr. Reynolds, do you have a report?
The only thing I would say, Mr. Mayor, members of council, is that we'll have the Shakopee Public Utilities joint meeting during our normal meeting on June 18th. We'll make sure that the agenda reflects that. That way it's not an excessively long meeting, but that was the one date that we actually could fit in. So,
other business? Any other business? I have just a couple of small items, Mr.
One more item. There's been some, I guess, concern about 10th Street. There's a stop sign.
10th and Dakota.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of flares up periodically online and various.
Well, we moved that. That used to be farther to the east by half a block and lined it up with the trail in Pearson, the drive area where the student pickup is in by the parking lot. And we moved it so that it would line up with a regular street. The bottom line is, I mean, there's stop signs, and if people aren't following traffic laws, like I always say, it's an inconvenience, it's a recommendation. Although I don't know if that stop sign has one of them fluorescent things on the poles.
I thought it did flash.
Mr. Bill Egan, I really like them. Bill Egan is our public works guy, and they're really visible at night, and I really like that. So I don't know if that one has one or not, but I suspect even if it did, people just don't seem to pay attention.
And they need to.
In general,
There's a school
you know,
right
we
there.
will get complaints about speeding in certain neighborhoods, people running stop signs in certain neighborhoods, and you know, the reality is that we can do things and we can have some limited more enforcement, but then as soon as we go away, everything goes back to the way it was, and we can't have a police officer in every corner. You know, it's a balancing act for all of us, but as the mayor points out, if people aren't interested in following the law, it's difficult unless we have somebody directly there observing to actually make a difference.
Mr. Reynolds, if council concurs, can we make sure that them poles on different directions have that red
Sure,
fluorescent
yeah,
on it?
the fluorescent that goes down the whole pole.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I mean, it's just one more step that we're trying to
Yes,
bring
sir.
to people's attention. Anything else?
That's it, thank you.
The two items I have are short. One is legislative session came to an end. Probably a historic ending, I would say. That's you know, there's a lot that was put together at the very last minute, literally. A lot of it wasn't read by everybody, and we're still trying to sort out what is all in it, because what happened is it came down to crunch time and everything got thrown into the legislative goulash and passed on party line in one action. So we'll have to dig through it and see what's in there, what the ramifications are, what the good stuff is, and go from there. The other thing I wanted to point out, I got a request today from the Southern Valley Alliance looking for a letter of support from the mayor of Shakopee. They acquired the property right next door. They want to make a green space in a small little park for both their staff, clients, and community. And I think they're seeking donations for that. And they wanted to, they asked if I would do a letter of support. I want to make sure council's okay with that. We good with that?
Be good, yeah.
Okay, that's all I have.
Thank you.
Mr. Lara.
Adjourn to Tuesday, June 4th, 2024 at 7 p.m.
Is there a second? Mr. Delaney? Discussion on the motion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned. 8:31.